Shut Off That Noise is generously sponsored by Hollow Log Records and Smoke in the Water, both located at 2227 Dundas Street West in Toronto, and by Pomp and Circumstance Wedding Photography.
I'll say it to you, Craig, shut off that noise!
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Shut Off That Noise. I'm your host, Craig Riddock. It's so good to be back with an all-new and all-musical season of this podcast. Since last you heard from me, a lot has changed. The grove of black oaks near the end of my street has gone from being an autumnal wonderland of color to a cascade of vertical inky black lines blanketed in snow. So thus we are firmly entrenched in the beginnings of winter. On my way home to the studio yesterday, I received a great phone call from a good friend and mentor. He gave me some great notes on last week's podcast and a whole lot of encouragement, so I just wanted to say a big thank you to him. He knows who he is. Well, in this week's episode, I'm going to rewind back to 2 weeks ago, where I brought the three members of the band Old Major to my home for a Sunday afternoon of NFL football and treated them to some of my three-bean chili. Got them talking about the origins of their band, as well as their current ambitions. This week, it's the Indie Week Music Festival and Conference here in Toronto, and Old Major are going to be featured there this Friday night at The Joint. That's located at 55 Colborne Street in Toronto's St. Lawrence Market area. My first contact with the band Old Major happened through a colleague of mine back in the days of my architecture career. We found out over some of our lunchtime discussions that we shared a common interest in rock and roll, and that she was a drummer, and that her husband was also a drummer and golf pro. So that's Joey, the drummer of Old Major here. Well, Joey's wife Michelle invited me out to see them perform at the El Macombo, so you'll know just how long ago that was because it's been a construction site for most of the last half decade. You know, I never cease to be impressed by the endless number of great bands that this city has to offer that are making high-caliber music in suburban basements in their spare time with no other ambition than to just make great music, get out and play it. You know, and so for you, the listener, Toronto provides us with a veritable cornucopia of live music choices, and these guys are just one. We're going to get to talk a little bit later in the show about some of my picks for Indie Week Festival at the end of the show, but I'm going to get you straight into the music here and give you a taste of the power and fury that is Old Major. This is the lead track off their self-titled album. The song's called Spell Check.
say we play that first a lot of the time because it's a great expression of our whole thing as a band. You know what I mean? So the sound and the attitude and everything is very encapsulated. So like it's also a good primer for us just to get in the zone. It's like a pump up kind of song. And every time we play it first, it gets everybody's attention. And it's
Nice.
like a good way to kick off.
Yeah,
every time everybody's like, I was way at the back of the place at the bar, and I just suddenly heard you guys playing, and I didn't realize my foot was just swinging all over the fucking place. You know, people saying shit like that, and they were like, as soon as I heard that song, I got you guys right away, and I was like, okay, so we'll just play that first forever. It's like, that is probably the most frequently loaded song for the beginning of the set. Yeah. Mark Zereni, I play guitar and say stupid shit on stage, and then I sing occasionally. Yeah.
And you are the primary writer.
Yeah. For the most part, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yourself.
John Stevenson, bass and vocals.
Okay.
Joey Pavone, and I play the drums.
Okay, so Joey and his wife Michelle, and that's how I know this band is because Michelle and me worked at an architecture firm. So that's the connection there. So guys, so rewind. When did this get started? When did you just like? So you knew each other for a bazillion years and hung out with each other, but like, how did the original like Old Major get started? When was that?
Oh man,
There's so many variations.
Well, yeah, it's just because it's such a weird thing that we're all friends. I mean, we have been since, when did I meet you? 1993. Yeah. So we were in grade 9. I met you like a year later, or 2 years later, something. 95.
95.
And that's when we formed our first ever band, which was like a tragically hip cover band.
No
So
way.
we
Okay, so not
Yes.
heavy rock like you're doing right now.
No. Our orientations are very different. Like I started in music via bands like Weird Al Yankovic and Bare Naked Ladies, and even early rap and stuff like that. And when I met you, we started singing those songs together.
Exactly.
Started covering that stuff, like wherever we could play, like the old town hall or something, you know,
Yeah,
Brampton.
we were just wherever we could.
But
get
we
out
all
and
met
play.
at St. Thomas Aquinas in Brampton. That's where kind of things started to evolve. So when we had that band, we played like 1 or 2 gigs, I think, something like that, like a small handful.
Okay, so even though you're kind of a new member to my eyes and ears, you actually been in the camp.
Yeah.
We've been in the
known
circle
forever.
of friends
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
for a long time. Okay,
Long
all right.
time,
Yeah, he was just doing his own thing while we were doing Old
Yeah.
Major. You were in several bands.
I was
Really.
in so many.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna get to your story
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Okay, individually.
Yeah.
So we're
Timeline's
gonna
cool.
start with the origins
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Okay.
So I think after that, in high school, it was somewhere near the end of high school. I moved away like far to Mississauga, which was far away from Brampton when you're 16, right? So, but we tried to stick together and keep everybody together, but it just didn't pan out. So I was kind of doing more just writing and stuff on my own, and but I got to meet lots of cool people in Mississauga. I kind of got into that scene a little bit, and then Joe, you were doing Joey's Basement. That was a whole other band, which was
a
with
whole high
And
school
then we
band
ended
called
up
Joey's
with
Basement.
April Fools.
yeah.
You're the leader of the band. Not
The band was called Joey's
Joey's
Basement,
Basement,
only because we always used to play in my basement. So we just called it ourselves.
2000s. I think that's when we officially discussed like having a band, and that was when you were in Joey's Basement. That was with Mike Kennedy, who is the original bassist of Old Major. So I think we were all just hanging out at a house party one night, and I'd moved from Mississauga to Bolton, so I was now kind of in a closer postal code, you know what I mean, where it was like viable to like actually hang out, and we had cars, you know, we were older. It was a bit more, you know, because before I was taking like 2-3 buses a day trying to like sneak back into Brampton whenever I could from Mississauga, so it was a very rebellious period. But so finally we were hanging out one night, and then we all just discussed it, and we're like, hey, we should form a band again, because Joey's Basement.
I was like, hey, you just want to jam?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
you want to just start playing music? And so we started some early jams. And we even came up with like a temporary band. That was with Rob.
With
so
Rob.
our good one of our old friends from back in the day.
I recorded some demos for you guys.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Wow.
And the band, it was actually named, was it Buck 75 or something? But there was a Buck 65. So we're like,
Can you guys give me a visual on what Joey's actual basement that you rehearsed in looked like? So this is the basement of your
The original,
family home.
My family home, my parents very patiently upstairs.
they're actually super cool. They never
no.
came down with the Armada speech
was
or anything. Yeah.
Was this one of those rooms that had once meant to be like a man cave with like the Norwegian wood paneling and a
So
billiard table, and then that all got kind of pushed to the side, or
It's like
what?
Imagine,
or was it
just
no, just
imagine
concrete?
in the vision of your like European parents that want their vision of a finished basement, except now it's got a drum kit, a bunch of amps, scraping up the laminate flooring, and all the subsequent damage that comes with having a bunch of crazy teenagers with instruments. They probably died a little bit inside, but I mean, they were really super cool at the end of the day about it, and they were actually quite supportive, which was something you don't.
Yay for the parents of our fucking
for
generation.
them to tolerate me bringing a drum kit into that basement. You got to. It comes with certain expectations.
My parents were the opposite.
So where were you first playing? Like, what was the first venues that you got yourselves into?
There was no activity for a while. Like the thing was, it was like a case of bad timing, especially on my end, because by the time we had started, I mean, we played we did a couple small gigs for friends and stuff. Like we did that New Year's party at the rec center. Remember that? Like that was fun. We all got wasted and just played a bunch of covers and stuff. It was just random, but that was just early on. We hadn't written anything yet. We hadn't formed anything like Old Major, anything in our sort of attitude or philosophy as a band. Nothing was there yet. It was just, we were just jamming, having fun. That was for the most part. And so we did that, but then I wound up moving here to Toronto and going to school. So I went to OCAD and I did a 5-year program. And while I was there, I was also working, had a girlfriend, apartment. So my plate was full. And that was, basically when you guys were like freewheeling, you were like good to go. You're like, come on, let's tour the world. And I was like, I can't, I have class at 9:30. I have to, guys, I'm fucked for time here. So I was literally like that. But then as soon as I finished school, which was around 2006-07, that's when finally, I was like, hey guys, let's get out there. But it was already this kind of turning of hands where you guys are becoming more responsible. You're becoming adults, you know what I mean? Like everybody's growing up. So yeah, basically, but like getting married, getting the houses, everything like that. You're actually settling and having real lives. So it's not that easy to just get up and suddenly I'm like, let's tour the world. I'm done my I got my diploma or whatever. And
I secure my own basement.
Basically, well, that was the good thing there. It was like we moved out of that the basement at your parents' house, but then you got a house and you thankfully donated the lower floor, like the basement, to us, like 1/3. It was literally like you carried Michelle across the threshold, and we were right behind you with amps. Carrying amps.
Wonderful, yeah.
Imagine that visual is basically.
And God bless Michelle for allowing it.
Yeah. But that was
for supporting that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Michelle, technically Michelle is a member of the band, you know what I mean? Like that's that real sacrifice, is the band wivery.
You and I were also in a band with Michelle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Back in high school. Here's the thing. Michelle actually plays drums as well. Or Sheet Mirror. You remember the band shit?
And Angela Hunwicks?
Yeah.
Does Michelle have her own kit?
No.
She
just plays right off of mine.
Kit, yeah.
It's the married kit.
It's a marriage.
Everything's half.
You took all
right?
it's
all yours. Yeah.
She owns half of my shit.
Does she have her own set of clubs?
No, she owns half of my clubs.
So you both swing right. That's good. Okay. Well, that's
we are both
and
right.
you're relatively the same height, similar
We're
mechanics.
fine. This is a standard set.
Yeah.
You're kind of a professional.
Correct.
Yeah, that is your.
I think that band was named Spec, if I recall correctly.
Probably.
Was it Spec?
I think
Anyways, it was an all-girl band in high school. It was great.
See what I was saying about basements? Well, just as a note of interest, Michelle and Joey are also sharing their basement with Belle and Sebastian. Not to be confused with the musical group from Scotland, but rather their 2 toddlers, Isabel and Sebastian. I imagine that their basement is probably half musical instruments and the other half is tricycles and action figurines strewn about the floor. And they probably belong to the guys in the band. Well, here's something else that the guys made in Joey and Michelle's basement. And they also created a self-produced rock video for this next number. And from what the boys tell me, this is their best-known work. It's the album In Dog Years, recorded in 2013. Here's track number 2 from that album, Snake Charmer.
Just take the whole fucking charade and pack it all into the back
So, Tim, what do we got going here at Smoking the Water?
We got bongs, we got papers, we got grinders, we got lighters, we got pipes, we've got seeds, we've got CBD.
Now, CBD is a big thing right now. Even pet owners are coming in for the CBD stuff, right? Yes. Tell me about that.
Oh, it's just good whatever ails you. It's a cure-all.
Tell me about what we got going here at Hollow Log.
Tell you or the Goonie Birds listening to your snapshot or whatever. Well, I'm hoping that some of them have turntables because we have vinyl and lots of it. And all different kinds of vinyl, including the stuff that hardly anyone sells anymore, like the bluegrass and the country and the folk and the Celtic and the kids section and all that stuff. And all the cool records that I don't want to talk about because I'm not cool.
Both Hollow Log Records and Smoke in the Water are located at 2227 Dundas Street West in Toronto. If you go down to the store, let them know that you are a Shut Off That Noise listener, and you can get a one-time offer of 10% off anything in both stores. Okay, well, let's get back to my interview with Old Major. Coming up later in the show, we're going to have a big finale with a recording that we did right here in my living room in my little basement apartment with minimal equipment. The guys just picked up some guitars that were lying around here, like the gear that my band records with, and it was masterful. And there's going to be a little video out there on Twitter and on our Instagram feed. Okay, so back to the interview with Old Major. Okay, so we kind of covered your high school years. So you finished.
That was really kind of when we started our initial projects, because the thing was at OCAD they have. I was in the integrated media program. That's like a bit of everything. Like I am jack of all trades for doing creative stuff. So, but I was really involved in audio engineering and recording music, post production,
at OCAD.
Film. Yeah. So yeah, and John,
I went to Travis.
You went to Travis.
At that time, it was at university and college.
It was the old location. Yeah.
What was your education there?
Bachelor of Arts in Economics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then professional golf management program at Humber. When it comes to golf in general, first of all, it's not like you're saying like hockey and whatnot. It's not a team sport anymore. So you're just sort of like relying on yourself. It's a matter of perception too. When you're out there on a golf course, you're sort of playing against yourself in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. I think that's empowering, more so than having to rely on others to, pick up where you might slack off. With hockey players, I'll tell you what, I've seen professional hockey players hit a golf ball. I mean, you may not know what direction it's going to go, but it's some of the longest drives.
It goes far.
Like
it goes far.
And it's just that slap shot, right? Like they already have the mechanics there. So a lot of these hockey players, the sport it's an easy transition for these guys. I find in a lot of ways. Like I've seen, I saw Nick Kiprios hit a golf ball once, and the sound that came off that club face blew me away. The divot was even deeper, and it was like a full-on beaver pelt. It was a little steep on the angle, but still, like it was just the amount of power that these guys were able to transition through.
If Old Major was a team sport, or maybe like a combination of team sports, what it would be most analogous to?
Oh, jeez, I don't know, because I know nothing about sports.
Okay, well then that's... You will give the most honest answer then.
Yeah, that's true.
If I knew enough about sports, I'd have an answer.
Okay, if it was a soccer team, or if it was a hockey team...
I was going to use actually a soccer analogy.
Do a soccer analogy.
Because like it's strategy, right? A lot of it's strategy. A lot of it you have to know what the other teammates are doing. You have to sort of have that, like you said, that sort of psychic ability to... be where you need to be when I'm about to pass the ball along to you.
The title of this episode, just so you guys know, is Old Major Halftime Show. So you guys are, just so you know, on my personal football Sunday, you are my halftime show. I'm going to hand you a bunch of instruments. We're going to fire up the UI-24 and a couple of cameras and just let you rock it out, okay? Cool. Okay, for the first time ever, a live band from Shut Off That Noise Studios. I have Old Major here in my living room with a song from their new album, Okay. This is Inheritance. Well, I got to thank my guests, Joey, Mark, and Mike from Old Major for coming over to my place and sharing some chili and football and telling me all about their band. That was a lot of fun. Movies opening this week include Charlie's Angels and Ford versus Ferrari, The Good Liar, and the one I really want to see is Bluebird. In theater this weekend, you might want to get out there and catch Come From Away at the Elgin Theater if you haven't seen it before. Girl from the North Country is running at the Royal Alex, and Louise Petrie stars in Piaf Dietrich, and that's at the CAA Theatre. Scottish comic Danny Boy is back on his Canadian tour, and you can see him at Roy Thompson Hall. On Friday night, the Ordway Centre for the Performing Arts is presenting Allegra. That's Cirque du Soleil's latest tour de force. In dance, the National Ballet of Canada is presenting Orpheus Alive and Chaconne, and that's at the Four Seasons Centre for the Performing Arts. Saturday night at the Meridian Hall, it's Another Brick in the Wall, the opera. Yes, that's right. It's Pink Floyd's seminal album, The Wall, reimagined as an opera. The Indie Week Music Festival and Industry Conference runs from November 13th to 17th. If you're in Toronto, it's your opportunity to see and discover your next favorite artist. That is, if you're not just listening to Shut Off That Noise. You can catch the keynote speech with Steve Stewart, founding member of Stone Temple Pilots. He's going to be at the Thompson Hotel front room, 4 p.m. on Friday tomorrow. The legendary folk singer Michelle Schacht, whom I love, is also doing a keynote speech Saturday, November 16th, discussing musical chairs, a survivor's case for artists right now. And that's also at the Thompson Hotel front room at 3 p.m. Tonight, Thursday, my recommend for your Indie Week experience, head out to Revival and catch 4 really great bands. The headliner is called Pterodactyl Problems. Now, if they didn't already catch my interest with the name, they completely had me at gender-bending, genre-defiling, fire-breathing, heavy metal, folk, glam, jazz, prog, and more. So yeah, you need to check this one out. Also tonight, you want to head over to Cherry Cola's. In the later part of the evening, around 1 o'clock, Queens and Kings are going to be playing, and they're not a new band, and I'm pretty sure this is the Queens and Kings I'm thinking about. You might want to check them. At Hughes Room is the Indigenous Showcase. They get started around 8:30. Of course, Friday night, I'm going to be going to see Old Major. They're one of the first bands to be going on at the Joint. Things get going on around 8 p.m. For my Saturday night, I have 2 different recommends. I'd say head on over to Revival around 6 p.m. for the Korea Splash Showcase, or I'd say head on over to the Supermarket. Get there by 10 o'clock so you can catch Unidentified Funk Object. This is like they're like a 10-piece weird-ass science fiction funk band. The lead singer, he's a doctor or something. I don't know. I think he traveled through time to bring us this music and funkifies our times. Well, that was a mouthful today because it's going to be a really busy weekend, and that was a big report. So have a lot of fun, and we're going to see you next Thursday. I'm going to try and get these episodes out in the morning for your early morning drive and commute and get a little bit more consistency going here as I build it. So I will be here definitely every Thursday for you with this show, with new interviews, with new music. And next week I've got Ostella, the lovely and talented Elizabeth Pomeroy spoke to me over the phone from Edmonton. We have some music from her new recording, and she's going to be performing at the Painted Lady next week on Friday for an early show. So until then, I'm Craig Riddock, and you've been listening to Shut Off That Noise.